I am your friendly neighborhood J-Man. This is the almost internet famous internet show, and today we are talking about Sideshow Collectibles' brand new Green with Envy Poison Ivy statue, right after the headlines.
And now, the aggregator of awesome, the curator of cool, my dad, your friendly neighborhood Jaman.
This past week, comic book fans got a bit more information about the goings down of DC's event Spectaculous Convergence. Courtesy of Newsarama's interview with Dan Didio, according to Dan, Convergence is a celebration of all the generations of DC characters. If you get the feeling that by celebration he means get ready to say goodbye to some of your favorite DC characters, you may be right in that feeling. Because Dan is quoted as saying, "It's a little bit of all of that. When we launched the new 52, it was a rather harsh ending to the current universe. We did the Flashpoint story, which led us into the new 52, but you never got that sense of closure like you did with other events." You don't say. Wally West, anyone? How's about Donna Troy or poor Arsenal? But hang on just a second, because maybe not. Per Dan again, ultimately, we're leaving every door open everywhere. We want to see what the reaction is, where the excitement is. It sounds like DC is kind of playing both sides of the field here. Which is it, goodbye or hello? Well, that answer could lie in DC's post-convergence world. In a press release from later in the week, it turns out DC is killing off the new 52! No, relax. Killing off probably isn't the right wording. They are, however, ending the new 52 branding, publishing only 42 titles post-convergence, 25 current titles surviving the event, and 24 new ones being added. What might some of those titles be? Glad you asked. We're talking books starring Black Canary, Starfire, Cyborg, Bizarro, and Batmite. Yes, Batmite. So, what does it all mean? I have no idea. What do I think it means? I'm hoping that DC will embrace the multiverse, continuity will be thrown out the door, and good stories will be had by all, whether it's in the new 52, the old 52, or some variation of the two. If that wasn't enough confusion for you, then let's switch gears and talk about Marvel's Secret Wars. In an interview with Comic Book Resources, Marvel's executive editor Tom Brevoort revealed some of the plans for Secret Wars. The concept that began with what feels like a million years ago, even before current scribe Jonathan Hickman's run on the Avengers New Avengers, will finally come to a head in this Secret Wars series. It's kind of complicated, so bear with me. Some time ago, Reed Richards and the Illuminati, don't ask, I'm trying to keep it simple. Reed Richards discovered that the multiverse has been collapsing unto itself at what he called incursion points. Well, the process is now speeding up, and the final incursion point is upon us. Once it occurs, all that'll be left of the Marvel Universe will be Battleworld. Battleworld is being described as a patchwork planet comprised of domains. All those teasers we saw a few months ago, domains. Where does all this end? My guess, Crisis on Infinite Earth style, with just one compressed universe. No more Ultimate Universe, no more 616, just one Marvel Universe, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And speaking of Marvel, in an interesting turn of events, Brian Michael Bendis announced he's ending his long-ass run on the X-Men titles with May 2015's poignantly renumbered Uncanny X-Men 600. But don't fret, he's not going anywhere, because shortly after news of his imminent X-Men departure was announced, Marvel followed that up by announcing they're tying Bendis down with an exclusive contract for an unspecified amount or time period. Believe you me, Marvel can tie me up for an unspecified amount or time period every day of the week if they want, even on Labor Day. Coincidentally, Bendis, who started with Marvel 15 years ago on Ultimate Spider-Man #1, has his fingers deep in this whole Secret Wars thing. And finally, it was announced on The View that Marvel's creating an all-female Avengers team called the A-Force. Because when you think of hard-hitting comic book news, you totally think of The View. Look, I get it. I get why they debut this stuff on a venue like The View. Does it drive me nuts? Yes. Is it clever marketing on Disney's part? Yes. Do I not completely understand how rhetorical questions work? For sure. In any case, this new team's lineup will include, but not be limited to, She-Hulk, Dazzler, Medusa, and a brand new cosmically powered hero named Singularity. From the looks of the image accompanying the press release, the heroines involved in the A-Force look like they come from all different time frames of the Marvel U. The 70s Dazzler, the mid-90s Jubilee, Spider-Woman in her original costume, not to mention Spider-Gwen. Does all this tie into Secret Wars event? You know it like hot meat, dog. We'll be right back.
The secrets of the Batcave are yours! Unlock the Batman and Robin movie awesome! Jungle Venom Poison Ivy attacks with a deadly dose of toxic terror. Now gear up Bruce Wayne as Batman with punishing ice block armor, as he joins Iceborne Robin with laser warp launcher. Then as Batman slice through the streets of Gotham City in the incredible Batmobile, explode into action and launch a poison pummeling attack. At last, evil is weeded out! The secrets of the Batcave are yours only with Batman and Robin. Figures and vehicles each sold separately.
Way back in 2012, Sideshow Collectibles released onto our unsuspecting planet images of its upcoming Art Germ exclusive. A premium format Poison Ivy figure that's premium format with a capital P and a capital F, by the way. It's trademarked. Limited to 2,500 pieces and sculpted by Mark Newman, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing twice, I'll have you know. Poison Ivy tempted comic book fans and collectors alike. And I totally missed out on her. No. Don't cry for me, Argentina. It wasn't an accident or even happenstance. It was my own doing. Poison Ivy was just out of my pay grade. Even with Sideshow's handy-dandy easy payment plan, I just couldn't justify the expenditure back then. It wasn't like I was doing this show back in 2012. In fact, your friendly neighborhood J-Man wasn't even a glimmer in my eye in those long gone days. Nope. Back then, I was just another kid trying to make good, and buying Ivy would serve no other purpose than setting me back a bunch of money and collecting a shit ton of dust in my garage. Don't get me wrong, I completely regret it. I even had the link to Ivy's page on Sideshow's website bookmarked and all. I'd visit the page regularly and gaze longingly at her. I had the statue in my cart so many times it's embarrassing to admit here. Not to mention how many times I signed up for the wait list after she sold out. Talk about depressing. Still, I couldn't justify the expenditure. And believe you me, there's nothing more exacerbating than going to con after con and seeing her huge box being sold upwards of $700. That's right, $700 American. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking,
just because a dealer is pricing a statue for $700 doesn't mean she's actually selling for that much. Nope. Dealers often overvalue items on the secondary market.
Look, that's all very true on your part, and one of the first things you learn as a collector. It's simple supply and demand. Or is it Keynesian economics? I don't know. Whatever. I'm not what you call a man of numbers. However, I've seen enough folks buying Ivy at cons to suspect that her price might actually be around that mark, if not higher. I'm no speculator either, at all. But there's just something about getting an item you really want at retail, or better yet, less than retail, and seeing its price skyrocket afterwards. It's all part of the game, I suppose. In any case, I missed out, and I sort of made peace with not getting a statue. It is what it is. Holy shit! One day I woke up not very long ago to see that Sideshow Collectibles was releasing another version of the statue. Yes! They call this updated version the Green with Envy Edition. And this time I followed through. There was no chance in hell I was missing out on her. Especially now that I could totally justify the expenditure. I mean, for the show. I had the show to think about. I need to entertain my audience. I suffer for you. I suffer for my craft. I right quick put this new Green with Envy Poison Ivy statue on Sideshow's handy dandy easy payment plan. I'm telling you, you gotta love this payment plan. It's pure genius on Sideshow's part. The only thing left to do was wait. And while we're waiting the 6 months for her to arrive, how about I take this time to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Jesse. I'm Sagittarius. I'm 6 feet tall. No, I'm just fucking around. What I am, though, is not that much into statues. Maybe it's the price point. Maybe it's the complete lack of articulation. Now, why that should matter, I can't figure out, because it's not like I'm playing with my action figures after I get them. I swear I'm not. Don't tell anybody. I usually set them up in some way and then let them do their job of collecting dust for all eternity. Statues, though, while many of them look fairly awesome, they're just pre-posed dullness. That's not to say I haven't bought a few Sideshow Collectible statues in the past, because I have. 3, I think. Black Cat, who I sold last year, Mary Jane, and White Queen, all of which are based off of artist Adam Hughes' work. You starting to sense a theme here? That was many, many moons ago, and I certainly have never bought one of Sideshow's fancy-dancy premium format figures. Remember, capital P, capital F. So, I was pretty damn excited to see what the big deal is with those statues. Oh, that must be her. That was a quick 6 months. Hang on a sec. I'll be right back. Boom. Now, before we start, sidebar. Reviewing a statue is a little bit harder than reviewing, say, an action figure. There's sort of less to talk about. There's no articulation to ramble on about or how posable it may be, and you can only talk about paint apps so much. It's pretty much take it out of the box and here you go. And that's probably what we're going to end up doing here. So, all that being said, the Green with Envy Poison Ivy statue is 21 inches of pure sexiness. She comes packed in this gigantic decorative box, broken down into 5 pieces. Putting her together was a little tricky. I don't mind admitting I was more than a bit nervous about putting her together. But once she is, you find she's very faithful to Artgerm's original artwork. From the expression on her face to the pose itself, it's fairly spot on to Artgerm's design. There's a lot of nice touches too on the statue. Some subtle, some not so. Check out her boots. Boots, I said, you freaking pervs. Boots. They're sculpted to look like they're made of leaves and have heels made of vines. Or how about the individual leaves that make up her costume? And no Poison Ivy would be complete without her signature red hair. I'm not sure what I'm more impressed with, the sculpting of the leaves on her costume or the amount of detail in her hair. They say the devil's in the details, and Ivy's no exception, like the small vines sculpted around her legs that seem to grow up from the rather heavy base, which is pretty impressive in itself, with rock formations, vines, and moss growing all about. The underside of the base has the name and the edition printed on it as well. So then, what are the differences between the two editions? The first, obviously, is the Green with Envy edition is painted green. Duh. She also has new flower sculpts. Same amount of flowers as the original, just new sculpts and a darker color scheme. Kind of gives the whole statue a more ominous feel that the original didn't have. Alright, so this is probably as good as any point to cover the elephant in the room. No, not that one. I'm talking the objectification of women one. Is Poison Ivy stacked? That's a fact, and ain't holding nothing back. Is it wrong? Maybe. I mean, in the end, we're all just animals, right? Does owning this statue make me a bit of a perv? Probably. But I mean, look at her. She's hot. Seriously, though, to me, it's all part of being involved in the comic book world. The larger-than-life heroic men and the equally beautiful women. Comics or otherwise, sex sells. And most of us are buying most of the time. I don't know what the answer is. I only know that objectification of women will probably be part of society as long as there is a man left breathing and something he can draw with. All that being said, she is pretty hot. The qualification of not owning the original statue aside, I feel very comfortable saying that the updated Green with Envy version is the superior of the two editions. So, is she worth it? Well, if you have the spare cash or an internet show where you have to entertain people, then yes, abso-friggin-lutely. You know what they say. You only live once. And That's all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank myself for putting all this shit together. Check out my website, yfnjman.com. See what I'm writing about and where. I'm also on all your favorite social media. I'm on the Twitter, I'm on the Facebook, and I'm even on the Google+. All you gotta do is search. And finally, to wrap up this plugorama, check me out every Monday on the Fanboy Factor podcast at fanboyfactor.com. Until next time, remember, you give it all away, everybody wants you. Well, how? Oh. Or